Welcome back. This is Hope at Dawn, right here at Hope TV, where you look and you live. And we are into the second hour. And we promised you that once we are back, we will be having our guests already on set, ready to share their story with us. And today, being a Tuesday, it is one day at a time, testimony time, testifying of the goodness and the favors of the Lord upon our lives. And this morning, we are honored and privileged to have Celestine Musyoka. She is our guest this morning. And today, she will be sharing with us about thriving, not just surviving with HIV. And you can be part of our conversation this morning. Get in touch with us across all our social media platforms. Remember, it is Hope TV Kenya across all our social media platforms. Also, you can share our link because we are live on YouTube as well. So you can share the link with the various groups and also loved ones or even friends so that they can also get to learn a thing or two about today's conversation. Also, we are looking forward to the messages, any questions, any queries that you could be having. You can also drop the same on our WhatsApp platform, 0708 222 323. That is our WhatsApp platform. Right about now, allow us to welcome our guest, Celestine Musyoka. Good morning, Celestine.
Good morning.
You're well?
Yes, I'm well.
It's good to see you this beautiful Tuesday morning.
Thank you for having me.
And also, I saw that you are also an early bird. You are quite early.
Yes.
Awesome. Karibu sana to Hope TV. And for the sake of us, for the sake of our viewers as well, a brief introduction of who Celestine is.
My name is Celestine Musyoka.
Yes.
I come from Machakos and I am married. I have a family, 2 children. I have a young man, actually. It's not a boy because he's 22.
What?
Yes. And a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I think my age now is 46, and I really thank God for that.
That's
Yes.
You look good at 46.
Thank you. Thank
You look
you.
beautiful.
Thank
and you
you.
know, this is a special week. And maybe you can tell us, why is it an important week? Because just recently we celebrated World AIDS Day. And of course, the conversation today is thriving, not just surviving with HIV. And from what you're telling us, with a family, 2 children, one is literally a young adult, and you're doing very well. Maybe you can now get to let us know why this week is important for you.
Actually, the week is so important because as a person living with HIV, I look back and I really celebrate the milestones that have been made in fighting HIV. In those past years, it was so difficult. Even like sitting here and having a conversation like this would be a very difficult thing for us. And today, we can talk about it. We can educate people freely. We can share our stories and give hope. And we can tell people we went through this, we don't want you to go through the same. Or we made these mistakes, we don't want you to do the same mistakes. We also want to contribute to an end of HIV infections in the country. So it's a very important week for me. And I am happy that I'm able to contribute to the milestones that the government is achieving.
Amazing.
If Celestine, if you don't mind, if you can share, we can become personal and share with us your story, how you were diagnosed and how it was and when, and at that point, how it was.
Actually, I knew about my HIV status in 1997. And it wasn't like going for a test.
No.
What happened is that my parents separated. And so it was so difficult for my mom to bring us up. So when I finished my Form 4, there's a lady who sponsored me where my mom was working. So when I finished Form 4, I decided to come to Nairobi as I wait for my results and help her with a little I could so that we can raise my siblings because I'm the firstborn in a family of 5. And so during my work, I got this friend of mine. And the friend of mine, we would talk because it's a lady, alikuwa a young girl like me. So we would just talk as girls. Then at some point, I didn't know that she had a plan with another man who was already HIV positive. And those days we didn't know what it was. You could see people sick and they didn't know what was the problem. But there was this notion that once you get a virgin, I think, you'll be cured. So they made a deal I didn't know. And this lady tells me, take me to Park Road, I want to meet someone. And we went, ile Masaya Jioni at 2. So we went and we just entered a room and I told her, but this is a lodging. You are meeting who here? And she said, you'll see. So the moment I was turning back and saying, I'm going back, somebody entered the room and they locked the door. And then the lady left. And then the person just removed a gun and placed on the table. The room had a table and a bed. So he just placed the gun there. So, and that is how the guy raped me. So from there, I could not talk to my employer because I knew that if you had it, it's because you wanted or you were discussed with. So I could not share it. And when I was growing up also, I didn't have like aunties, people I can share with. So I had to keep all this information to myself. And then like in 2 or 3 weeks, I started becoming sick. And now it's visiting the pharmacies. I have this itchiness, and they kept on injecting me and giving me drugs for STIs. And then after like 3 months, I developed something like tonsils. But they grew so big, and they were also treating me of tonsils. And there was no cure. So at some point, there's a friend of my mom who saw me and said, I will take you to a friend of mine in Kenyatta. And when I was taken to Kenyatta, the doctor just looked at me and said, this is TB, just put on TB drugs. And that is how I started TB treatment. Then when I was finishing my 8th month of the treatment, then I developed a pimple here. I had visited home area to see my grandmother. So I developed on a Friday. The stories are like yesterday. So now, within 3 days, the whole face was swollen and I could not see. And everybody in the community came to ask, what is this? What has happened? But now, they started saying it's like a snake bit her. It's like a witchcraft. There are so many stories. So at some point, I was taken to the Kangundo hospital because now at home, they could not manage me. It was worsening. So when I went there, I stayed there for 2 days. And then the 3rd day, they moved me to a bed where there was an elderly lady. And they said, she's just going to die because we also don't know what it is. She's worsening every day. So the same person my mom told about my tonsils came back and said, I'm taking this lady, discharge her. They refused. They said she's going to die. And now they took me and I was taken to Kenyatta again to the same doctor. So he placed me in a Coptic. There were some rooms. It wasn't a big hospital like right now. And then you would have your doctor come and check you. So I was placed there. And the 3rd day I decided, because I feel I'm improving, I want to know what is the problem. So in the afternoon when the nurse placed my file there, I said, I know how to read, been to school, so I will try to understand what's the problem because they are not telling me. And that is how I pulled my right eye. And because this one could not see, it was so swollen, and now the fluid had become like pus, it's so itchy. So I pulled this one, and then I moved to the file, and I open and I see HIV positive. So now it flashed back on what I read in school. So HIV doesn't have a cure, you die. And so now I was sure I'm going to die. I'm not going to live for long. So when my mom came again to visit, I told her, I already know what is the problem. And from today, I don't want anyone to talk to me, including the doctor. So when he came, I just covered myself and I said, just leave me to die because I don't have an option now. I will die anyway. And then now from there, he kept on telling me, you will live, but we don't know how long, but just be courageous, we'll live, we don't know how long. So now I had to be taken back home and I was told, including my mom, she told me, there's this thing that is so new and people are not staying for long when they contract it. So the longest you will live is 3 months. So I was taken to a relative of my mom to go and wait for 3 months to die. So I waited. So I would spend all the time sleeping, waiting for my death. So I waited for 3 months. And then after 3 months, my mom even came and said, I think it is now time we are leaving. So we waited. I'm not dying. We waited another 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm not dying. In fact, I was just improving. And so from there, I decided life must go on. And I went back to I'm not hiding myself anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going out there, look for something to do, because now I'm not dying. I'm just here, adding weight, improving every day. But now remember, my wound was still fresh.
Yeah.
So now I decided I'll be going out, look for jobs, help my mom, but now I'll cover the whole face because it was so bad. The wound was so bad, even to the extent of being in my head.
Yeah.
Like half of my head was a wound. And so that is how now I decided I'm going to do it. But remember, all these things, they are inside me. I'm not talking to anyone. And then also my mom is also suffering because she knows she's not talking about it to anyone. Yeah.
And so many years later.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if this was in 1997, I'm trying
Yes.
to compare that with my age. And from what we
Yeah.
see,
Yes.
it's definitely been a long, long, long time.
Yes.
So how would you say the journey has been like so far, and even just getting to that place of acceptance? How was just getting into that place of acceptance like?
In the process, I realized that I got something bad from someone. And then I decided, then if somebody came to me and said, you're beautiful, and I want to have you as a friend, I would say yes. And then in that process, I got now pregnant with my boy. And now I even told my mom, I think even when I die, you will not have lost anything. And she didn't know why. And then at the 6th month of my pregnancy, there's a lady who came and saw me that I was very sick. Everywhere where there was air, it was just wounds. And now everything was worsening with me. So the lady took me to a VCT. And she said, they will help you there. Maybe you can get a treatment, but I don't know whether you'll be cured. So when I went to the VCT, they told me of a program in Kibera. And I shared with the counselor, I said, I am pregnant, but my mom doesn't know. So now I think if I die, my mom will have a replacement of me, and that is my child. So now when I started going there, they said there's a support group here. There are women who come here and listen to, like we talk together. And there's also, you're lucky, there's a program that they are piloting to see whether children can get infected with HIV. And that is now how I started going there. But it was also so difficult for me because these are elderly women. I'm the only person who is 20 years here.
Yeah.
So now when they are talking, it's like I'm just listening, looking at them, and I'm wondering, why am I even here? Because I don't even know whether I will reach your age at any point. I'm going to die anyway. I'm waiting for my death. Maybe it's just taking longer. But my mom kept on taking me there. Okay, no, just listen, do what they say. But there were no drugs, no ARVs, no anything. So when I gave birth, of course they say don't breastfeed. We are giving your baby prophylaxis. And that is now how my mom said, because you will die, we'll even not tell your son that you are the mother. You are the sister. So that when you die, they will say, my sister died. And my son kept on calling me Celestine up to the 3rd year. And then when in 2004, because that was in 2002, in 2004, I was also introduced to AMREF, where they had also a piloting program for ARVs, but now they started giving for free. And then I told my mom, maybe this one will make me stay for longer. So I think it's good we tell my son that I'm the mother, because now he will know that he had a mother and died when he was this old. And that is how now, like, I started to have a little hope that I'm going to live longer. But now the stigma, because my mom was like, you remember people are being buried with, wrapped in plastic bags. So I don't want that to happen. When you die, we will not tell them. So what we'll do, you will change your name. And that is how I changed my name. Initially, when I was baptized, I was Ruth Kanyiva Musyoka. But now I changed to Celestine Kanyiva Musyoka. And then we agreed, don't put Celestine on your ID. And that is how now I just became Celestine, and everybody who knew me, they will hear Celestine, they say, no, it's not her. Sometimes I would go on a radio, talk about HIV, how as a young person I'm living. No, somehow I've started to accept and want to tell people it's not good. Young people, it's not good to have these like issues of sex when you are not married. No, it's good to abstain. So now I'm telling these university girls, but I'm not telling them as Ruth. It is as Celestine, because I want to hide my identity. There was a lot of stigma because especially my mom would say, if they know, we will never go back home. So they should never know. And then also at home, because they're also not sure how you contract this. They would be like stigmatizing me in a very nice way, because I will be given my
Okay. Amazing. We are back. And of course, we are having such a powerful conversation here with Celestine. I mean, I just have one word, the strength of a woman.
I tell you.
Because, I mean, looking at all this time, the years, and how, you know, the Lord has carried you through. And I think before we went on break, Gigi, you brought up something about how you were able to take it a day at a time, even knowing that, you know, it's almost like they gave you a death sentence. You know, even your mom was okay with it. They were just getting ready, your relatives. So how did you take it a day at a time? How was it waking up each and every single morning and not knowing how the day will end?
I think what really helped me is that in 2008, when I was just doing my normal outreaches, you know, talking to the youth, I met Richard. Richard is a pastor with a church in a cathedral praise in Kibera. And he had become my friend. So he decided when we were around, because he was also doing some outreach programs for HIV, he was asking me, are you saved? And I said, why should I get saved? Because I'm going to die. And he said, do you know when you die, if you're in Christ, it's something so good. You know, you'll celebrate later. And I said, no, it's because when you have HIV, it's something which is a sin, and we talked a lot about it. But this pastor encouraged me and said, the best thing you can do is to get saved, know Christ, and every day would be good for you. And I think the talk that we had really encouraged me, because I said, then I want Christ. The very day, it was on our Wednesday. And at around 2, he took me to a van and he said, please say this prayer after me. And that is how I got saved. And then from that day, when everything I was doing, I was basing it on Christ. No, I would read because he gave me a Bible. And he said, this is the only thing that will guide you. Despite what you have, no, Christ loves us all, despite our problems. And that is how every day to me started having a meaning. You know, how I used to look at HIV as a sin, no, it became something different. No, it is not a must that I have HIV to say that I have a sin. It is not a must that I gossip. So there are so many things that now are having a meaning, and everything to me, it was almost the same. So when now I'm talking to young people, I would feel like whether I have it and you don't have it, we are on the same level. When I'm talking to anyone, we are on the same level. And I felt it is true, because the first thing I did when I was in Kibera, they used to give me an allowance of 4,000. And then he told me, if you want God bless you, you must tithe. So the first tithe I gave, and there was a lot of joy. And then something convinced me, it is so good and nice to be in Christ. So I said, I will continue trusting in this God. And that is how now I started living life with a lot of hope. And somehow I removed my, I would call it hijab, because I kept on covering my face. And I said, I think God loves me the way I am, because that is what, and this God is true, because when I ask of something, He gives. So I think now I have an image of God. If God has a face with a scar, then I represent God. And I started appreciating myself. And somehow life had a different turn. You know, when I got sick, my right eye, like ilipotea, it was affected. It doesn't see completely. So somehow I removed that thing. And when I'm walking, it's like this is my center. So when I'm walking and then I knock you, I'm very comfortable to tell you, I'm sorry, it's because I can't see. But you see, it's something I didn't want to share with you. So now I became comfortable. I accepted my new me, and I started to walk with the new me, and appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Beautiful.
Celestine, what you went through was really traumatic, because you got this you were infected through rape. How was it, and how were you able to recover mentally, and especially because these are the two very big things, you know, rape and now being infected. How are you able now to even move on? Yeah. Considering you were afraid of even sharing. Those are things that you were afraid of sharing.
To be honest, with the rape, it has affected me for quite some time.
Yeah.
I think recently is when I started like following up on therapy on how to go about it.
Yeah.
Because I felt, like I started hating men. Because first, the man in my life is my father.
Yeah.
This is what happens when between him and my mom.
Yeah.
And then now another man, it like distorts my life completely. And so I didn't want any man before me or anywhere with me. And I told myself I'll never get married. So it really affected me because I stayed not liking men actually near me. Sikuwapenda kabisa. And at some point, I just want to look at them as my brothers. I don't want to look at anyone as a partner. And this really affected me so much. Because even when I was getting married, I was sharing with the same pastor, because at some point I told him and he said, let's pray about it. No, I'm here to listen. So most of the things I would share with him and he would listen and he guided me. But it took me a lot of time to really go through it. Sometimes I look at myself and say, did I really forget? But I think I have overcome it.
Yeah.
Yes, I have really overcome it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's been a long, beautiful journey. 25 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, indeed, it is the grace of God. And maybe you can tell us just, you've mentioned, getting even to a point of getting married. So how did it happen? How did you meet your husband? How did you both start a family, even with the dynamics of your status? How was it navigating that?
Actually, I met my husband in a support group because those days they would tell us it is not good to infect another person, and especially willingly, which was also not good. No, as a person, you feel what you went through, you would not wish anyone else to go through the same. It really hurts when you look at someone and you say they're suffering because of me.
Yeah.
So when now we had all this information of how you can protect other people, would be advised it's good if you want to get married, then get married with the person who is of your same status. And of course, as I said, that rape had affected me, it is something that I had not decided well. Because I got married because my sibling, my immediate sister, was to get married. And my mom said, now what will you tell them? You are not married and your sister now is getting married. So I had to go to the group and get someone who is also able to like, they are willing to start a family. And so that is how I met my husband. And we started, we got married in 2009. And then in 2010, now we had our baby together. So now I had a son. And then now we had our baby girl, who is now 14 years. Yeah, so those times, there was only information about just if you're positive, get somebody who is also positive. Because there was no information, full information, if you're discordant, your partner is negative, what will happen. And also people had fear. Imagine going as a young person, I go and I tell my boyfriend, and I am positive. They will even disappear. And the next thing is the whole community knows that you are positive. So it was really difficult. You would only go for people who are positive, like, because they understand you. It's not unlike today when we have all the information with us. We know if you have a negative partner, you can stay together. They can be prevented from HIV. It was so difficult on those times. Yeah, and so we got a baby girl, and still we were given information on how to protect her from getting HIV, and today she's good. So my 2 children are HIV free. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I am really happy about it.
Celestine, what are some of the lessons that you have learned, throughout this journey that has that keeps you going? And one day at a time, what are some of those lessons?
Number one is about forgiveness. When you are carrying somebody in your heart and you have a heavy heart when you think about them or you see them, you never move on. Because everything that you'll be doing, you still be basing on, it is you. And it's like looking back. You are walking 1 step ahead, 2 steps back. So it's important to forgive. And actually to forget. Forgetting is very difficult, but the best thing that one can do to themselves is forgetting. Because that is when now healing starts. and you appreciate what you are doing. And I look at myself and I say, probably if I didn't have HIV, maybe I would be a drunkard somewhere and I would die of something else, like liver cirrhosis or something. But now, with HIV, somehow it led me to Christ. Now I appreciate life and I know I'll not get lost. So forgiving and forgetting would help one very, very much. The other thing is like getting information about what you are suffering from. It is important to align yourself to people who are like going through the same thing. Today I can learn, you can learn something from me, I can learn something from you. And then your life moves on, you're not stuck. So it is very important to get information about what you are going through. It is also important to align yourselves to people who look at what you have positively. Not people who tell you have a bad thing, or they look at you and say, what is your problem? You'll be like your self-esteem will be going down every day. But when you are having people around you say that we really love you the way you are, today you look beautiful, today you've done a very good job. When people come to you and say, today I am the way I am because of you, like I've worked with youth, and they usually meet me and say, do you know, if it were not for you, maybe I would be infected with HIV. You really made me put a break to what I was doing. So some of these things would make people appreciate. When you make a positive impact on people, it really makes you to like want to continue with your life. It is also important to work hard. Don't just sit and say, I'm waiting for that person to come and help me. Work hard every day, work hard. Because when you look at yourself, you have a responsibility. Even not children, you have siblings. If not siblings, you have yourself or your parents or something, even your community. So you have to work hard to make sure that life moves on.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And even as we talk about lessons that you've learned over the years, how would you advise someone who is going through stigma, from how you dealt with it? What's that thing that you can say to them about overcoming stigma?
Actually, so many people are dying because of stigma, and especially self-stigma. When I say that, I even fear myself. It's like when you are giving somebody something, but you don't even like it, they will not accept it. So the first thing is appreciating yourself, loving yourself, and then now let other people look at how you are loving yourself, and they will reciprocate the same. So when you look at stigma, I would advise someone to first love themselves, accept the situation. It is here with me, it can never go anywhere. So I have to accept it and now look for ways of how I'm going to manage my conditions and survive with it. The other thing is looking for support groups. There are groups of people who are having the same conditions or issues with yours. So you will learn from them, because there are people who've lived for longer with the condition than you. So you will, of course, learn from them. Sometimes they will give even you referral to some of the problems that you're having. And also, I think it's also important to go for counseling. When you talk to someone, it's a problem that is like it is not with you. You share it, half of it is solved. So you will have a new, like you can take in when you are taking out. But when you are taking in and you don't have somewhere to take out, then you're killing yourself. Look for people who can advise you. They can listen to you. They can refer you, and they can accommodate you in their hearts. And also to the families. HIV is not a death sentence. Because if it was a death sentence, I think I would be the first person to have died, and my family would be talking of, HIV is a death sentence. So when we look at families, they should embrace these people. Because when you have HIV, it's just a condition. So you are just productive like any other person. Even I tell myself, even more productive than others. There are some who don't have any condition, but they are very lazy. They're not contributing to anything. But when you look at someone who has HIV, involve them, love them, engage them, and look at them as any other person. Yes.
And partly you have answered what I wanted to ask in terms of family members, friends, the community. You said even when you got infected and you went back to your workplace, they didn't want, your employer didn't want even to see you. You know, that stigma, an encouragement to people out there to be part and parcel of the life of these people, to help them. You know, as you said, you are productive, you are taking care of yourself, you're not living a careless life, so that they in a way help, you know, even in terms of your life becoming productive.
Yes, it's quite important.
Yeah, and I would love to just read the feedback that's coming in, even as we continue. I see Carol Nisa saying, proud of you. Sele, I also see Moving Wheels saying, watching. Thanks, Celestine, for sharing your story to encourage everyone. Maureen Omoto here saying, so proud of you, Sele. You are strong woman. Sained Carl adding, watching, big up, Sele. We are proud of you. Thanks, Hope, for hosting Untold, basically the Untold stories. And David Trike also adding, learning a lot from our awesome guest. What a topic, thriving, not just surviving. Indeed, it is a beautiful journey, and seeing you blossom even now is so encouraging, even to the people who are watching. Maybe someone is also watching us this morning and they've just been diagnosed with, you know, HIV, and they probably are just feeling like, what is life? I don't know what to do anymore. What is that one thing that you can tell them?
The one thing I would tell somebody who's just been tested is that the first thing is accepting it. It is here with you. It is not going anywhere. And the next thing is get help. Help in terms of counseling, in terms of going for treatment, because all the drugs, they are available right now. And you just walk into a facility and you get your drugs. Don't listen to the negative part of HIV, because in as much as you've got it, there are people who would say that you got it because you are careless, you got it because it's like a curse. But when you look at yourself and you say, I got it and my life has to continue, then you'll make the next moves. You have to be positive about everything. And above all, just look up to God, because I believe that despite our conditions, despite our everything, we'll all belong to God. So I would tell them to search for help and assistance from the health facilities and the counselors. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because there is a lot of goodness in this life when we accept it the way we are.
Sele, you can also talk to us about the importance of joining a help, a help group, a support group. For you, that support group came in handy. Not only did it encourage you in this journey, it gave you a +1. Give your husband. Exactly. Not only did they support you in the journey, but they gave you, the support group gave you even a husband. How important is it to belong?
When you join a support group, that is where you get a lot of information about now the condition that you are having. Because in the support group, you'll have the doctors come and talk to you, the counselors come and talk to you. There are other social workers who come and talk to you. So probably if it's about a condition that you have, when you have HIV, there are so many opportunistic infections and you felt, I'm not going to get cured. You will learn from the support group that I can be cured of TB, I can be cured of herpes, I can be, I can also prevent these things. Like right now, there's a lot of cancer cases, especially for those who have HIV. So there's information on how to protect yourself from the same. And then also in the support groups, that is where you find that, I thought it is myself. Kube, we are 1 point. I was listening to the statistics and they said 1.3 and I said, wow. So I thought it is only me alone. So that is where now you'll get encouraged because you are looking at these 1 point something people and then you cannot count them on the road. And then you get encouraged there. Sometimes you go there and you are tested and you feel the next thing is that I'll be wasted. Like in 1 month, I will just be walking like a dead thing. But when you go to that group, you find people who are very healthy and they will share with you what they are doing in terms of nutrition, in terms of taking their drugs, in terms of even they become your treatment buddies.
Yeah.
Your colleague calls you or your friend calls you and they say, umekunywa dawa yako? They'll call you and I'm just checking on you, how you today. We are going somewhere to see so and so. Are you coming? And then you get a very like a group of friends who really care for you. So you learn a lot from the group, and you also get to acquire so many friends who you can walk the journey with.
And I'm also curious, now that you've mentioned the part on nutrition and just maintaining that healthy lifestyle, what are some of the changes that you yourself actually had to make that have really helped you over the years?
The first thing when we talk about nutrition, and especially when I was young, I would want to go out with my friends. They are drinking, they are partying, they are taking the junk foods. But now I cannot take that. And when I said, when you accept yourself and you are comfortable, you tell people, I cannot take this. And they also agree. I worked with youth, and they kept on telling me, Celeste, remember, here ufai kukula. Remember, this one, no. And so there comes with a lot of adjustments to your nutrition. When people are taking like junk foods, you have to make sure that you are eating healthy. And healthy, we were told, it's not an expensive thing. When I go home and I do githeri with the spinach, githeri with the cabbages, and drinking a lot of water, I make sure that my body is dehydrated well, then it means that I'm going to maintain my body well. So it's not about junk food. It is also important if somebody is smoking, they stop, because it will contribute to you acquiring other infections. If you are like your working schedule. If it's somebody who is working, make sure you know of your schedule and schedule the time that you are taking your drugs every time, so that you don't miss them on time. And that is so helpful, because sometimes you feel like you are in the market and then it's a time for taking your drugs, and then like, my neighbor will see me. My life is not my neighbor's. So you are going to a party and people are taking soda, and you know very well if you take soda, it will make you maybe start coughing or something. And you are like, my neighbor will say, it is about me, not us. And so when you take it so personal that your health is so important to you, then you do the right thing.
As we bring our conversation to a close, Cele, are there examples of support groups that people with HIV can connect with?
Yes. When you go to any health facility where there is a CCC, a comprehensive care clinic, you will find support groups of people who are HIV. Or even in the CCCs, they will refer you to groups where you can get help, other people who are living with HIV. Yesterday, I listened to a program that was in Hope FM over Untold. We talked about Untold organization. I know they are in different parts of the country, and they also have groups of people who are living with HIV. So if you visit the clinics, they will refer you to other places like Untold and other organizations where you can get support groups for people who are living with HIV. And then also in the groups, as I said, you'll get now referral to other services that maybe they don't have or another organization have. You'll be referred there, and then you'll be helped.
Amazing. I see my mom saying this is a very strong woman. She's watching. And maybe even as we bring our conversation to a close, what would be your closing remarks? That one last thing you would love to let the people hear.
My plea to everyone is that if you've been tested and you are HIV positive, kindly make sure that you take care of yourself, you love yourself, and then you protect the other people around you. If it is your partner and they are not HIV positive, kindly protect them, because we would all be happy when now the community that we are living in or the society is HIV free. Because today I have it, but I would also not want my children to have it. So if I contribute to not spreading, of course, it means that even my people whom I love will not be infected at some point. If you are negative, then it is important to maintain your HIV negative status. Make sure that if you're married, you are faithful, And if you are not and you must, then use protective measures to make sure you don't acquire HIV. And let us all love people and involve people who are HIV positive, because they also have a big role to play in bringing HIV/AIDS to a closure. So let's love them and let's involve them in the fight against AIDS. Yeah. And lastly, I think we all need to, like even the government, let's all be involved and let's all contribute to the end of HIV.
Amazing.
Amazing. Cele, you're such an inspiring person with
so
an
much.
inspiring story.
Thank you.
And you kept waiting for your death. It never came, because God has good plans over your life. And you must see it, before that time comes. So thank you so very much even for accepting the invitation to come and share your story of hope, your story of encouragement, your story that indeed God has not finished what He has started in your life. Thank you so very much. And regards to your family as well, your spouse and also your children, and also wishing them the very best as well. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you as well for tuning in to today's edition of One Day at a Time right here at Hope TV. I know and I hope and we hope that you are inspired, you are encouraged. Step out and do something for the society. Be an inspiration, be an encouragement to someone today as you are going out today in as far as your day-to-day activities are concerned. From me, Gichuru, it is to wish you a blessed and a prosperous day ahead.
Amazing. And I wish you all a beautiful and amazing day. And if you are HIV positive, please do stay positive. I hope you know what that means, so that the negativity will not bring you down. Wishing you a lovely day, and may we continue to give support, to encourage a sister or a brother, and to know that HIV is not a death sentence, is one of the best things ever. Just to have that in mind, that you can live healthy, you can grow, you can have a family, you can have children, you can bring them up, and you can continue to not just survive but also thrive. So have yourselves a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow.